Question. Are physical circumstances part of the reality outside of the simulator? So I have a couple of videos, including one of my breakthrough videos, where I talk about you can look at the physical universe or the world we are in as a reality simulator. That is simply just like you go into a flight simulator, where it seems like you're sitting in an airplane cockpit and there's something outside the window that looks like an airport. And it's meant to give you that experience so you can learn how to fly an airplane. So you can look at the whole universe as a reality simulator. So the question is, are physical circumstances part of the reality outside of the simulator? Because I've said there's a reality outside. And there are several questions, but I'll take one at a time. And no, they're not. Not the way I use the concept of a simulator. Because what I've explained, including in my video about how the world was created, is the Ascended Masters have created the physical planet we are on. Right? And so there is a reality of this planet that was created by the Ascended Masters. But the planet was created as a learning environment for us who take embodiment on Earth. And that means that the whole planet was designed as a learning environment. And that's why I would say, and I know you could say this in different ways, but I would say the entire planet is the reality simulator. But what we have to realize is that the planet isn't just the physical material simulator. The planet has 4 levels, as I described many times. There's the identity, mental, emotional, and the purely physical. And our minds have 4 levels. And it is those 4 levels that make up the entire simulator. That means that what we experience, we are inside the simulator. So we are experiencing the simulator from the inside. And we are experiencing the physical circumstances, as the person is talking about. We are experiencing the physical circumstances on Earth. But we are experiencing them through our 3 higher bodies, the emotional, mental, and identity body, our mind. And there are physical circumstances, and you can have 2 people that experience very similar physical circumstances. But inside their minds they have different experiences of the same outer circumstances. And the individual experience is determined in the minds of the people, the emotional, mental, and identity minds. So those 3 levels of the mind are very much what gives you your individual experience in the simulator. I have my individual experience, and we may experience the same outer situation, but we have individual experiences through those levels of the mind. But the physical circumstances are still part of the simulator, the way I look at it. Now you could say that from our vantage point, we could say that what we experience is what our mind does with the physical circumstances. So if you want to be really philosophical about it, you can say that there are physical circumstances that are created by the Ascended Masters. And what we experience is just how our minds interact with those physical circumstances. You could say that. But I still would say it's easier to say that the physical circumstances are part of the simulator because the physical circumstances we experience are actually not in what the Ascended Masters originally created. They are something that we, humankind, we have co-created. Like the poverty and lack of resources on Earth, that's not how the Earth was created originally. That's something humankind has created over a long period of time. And this is very much what we have created from inside the simulator. So it goes on. Is my physical body part of the reality outside the simulator? No. Your physical body is very much part of the environment of the simulator. Is my physical body unique? Well, yes, it is. You have unique genetic structure, but your physical body is not just a physical thing, it's also very much, it's the lowest level of your four lower bodies. So your physical body is a creation of your body, the structures in your identity mind, plus the ones in the mental, plus the ones in the emotional, projected onto your physical cells. So it's an interactive whole, and it's very much unique to you, not only physically, but also because of your psychology. Am I my physical body, notwithstanding the reality simulator? No, you're not. You are more than the physical body. But of course, you are, in a sense, that your identity, mental, and emotional minds are very much integrated with the physical body because they have co-created the physical body and the conditions in the physical body. So you could say, in that way, you are very much connected to it, but you are more than. But what is more than is not the identity, mental, and emotional levels of the mind, but what I have explained in several videos is the core of your low identity, what I call the conscious you, which is pure awareness. Your conscious you is what makes you conscious. It's your unique vantage point. It's what makes it possible for you to even ask these questions. Am I my physical body? If the conscious you was your physical body, you wouldn't be able to ask the question. But because the conscious you is not the physical body, it's more than the physical body, you can ask this question. And therefore we must say, if you're talking about your identity, mental, and emotional bodies, you are very much connected to a part of the physical body. When you're talking about the conscious you, you are not your physical body. But of course, when you go inside your identity, mental, and emotional body, you experience yourself as the physical body. That's why most people think they are the body. And that's why scientists can believe that your mind is an epiphenomenon of the brain. But you're not. Because I have a physical body, does that mean there's some reality outside the simulator that describes me? No. But what we can say is that when you go into duality, what I call the duality consciousness, where you see yourself as a separate being, the physical body can have the function of challenging the worldview you have created in your mind. So, well, let's actually go a little bit on, because the person says, or is my physical body simply an expression of my mind as it tries to make sense of what it experiences in the reality simulator? So, we can say, you have the conscious you, which has created these structures in the identity, mental, and emotional minds, levels of the mind. And they form this perception filter, I've often called it. This is how you experience the world inside the reality simulator. Now, when you are in separation, in duality, you don't see yourself as being the body. You just don't see yourself as being the environment. And that means that if you have created a certain mental image in your mind, in your emotional, mental, identity minds, of how your body should be, it should always be healthy, you are in a sense trapped in that mental image you've created. But if your body then gets sick or falls down the stairs or whatever, it can challenge your mental image. And the same thing with physical conditions. So let's put it this way. I've often talked about there are two ways to learn in the reality simulator. One is through raising your awareness by coming to understand more. The other is through the school of hard knocks. Right? So what we can say is, all people who have gone into duality and separation, they have used their identity, mental, and emotional bodies, or minds, to create this worldview that is an illusion. And if people do not voluntarily question this, and most people who are in separation and duality don't, the only way they can learn is through the school of hard knocks. And that, this hard knocks happen when their own bodies, their physical bodies, and their external circumstances, which often involves other people, do something that challenges their worldview. Your body breaks down, gets old, gets sick, other people don't do what you want to do, some disaster happens in the world. This is the school of hard knocks. You are learning because what you perceive as external circumstances are challenging your worldview, your internal illusion. So, you see what I'm trying to say. You have to be careful with the concept of a reality simulator. Because there are some people that will look at this and say, oh, but that means everything we experience is created in our minds. But no, not everything we experience is created in our minds. Not everything we experience, but the way we experience it is created in our minds. In other words, there are external circumstances that were not created in our minds, but they are part of the reality simulator, including what we have created collectively. And these are conditions that we experience. They are real enough in a certain sense that they were not created by our minds, and they are giving us input. But how the mind interprets that input, that's our inner experience. And what keeps us trapped in the reality simulator, in the school of hard knocks, is that we are refusing to question our worldview. And the school of hard knocks is when the external circumstances challenge our worldview. That's the only way we can learn, when we are in that state of mind. But we can switch into seeing ourselves as connected beings, being willing to learn voluntarily, reaching for a higher understanding that comes from outside the simulator, from our higher selves, from the ascended masters. That's when we enter the school of higher awareness. And then we don't need as many hard knocks, and eventually we don't need any hard knocks. And then finally, how do I reconcile my physical body with what is outside the reality simulator? Well, I would say you reconcile it by realizing that the physical body is just something you have taken on in the simulator in order to interact with all 4 levels of the simulator. You have an identity body that interacts with the identity level of the simulator, mental with the mental, emotional, and you have a physical body that interacts with the physical level of the simulator. And as I said, this is not who you are. You are the conscious you are an extension of your spiritual self, your I am presence. And when you begin to connect to that, when you begin to realize that, when you begin to experience that you can mentally step outside of your 4 lower bodies and experience yourself as pure awareness, then you will reconcile the physical body. I mean, you'll see what the physical body is. It's just a tool for interacting with the simulator, for doing the things you can do in the simulator and having the experiences you can have.